Hi there. My name is Carolyn. I'm a member of Trinity on the Hill United Methodist Church in Augusta, Georgia. And we are pursuing a new mission in making sleeping mats for the homeless out of something that would just normally be thrown away. This would be your plastic bags. And we do recycle those, but this is a way to recycle them in such a way that they will be useful to people that will be real appreciative. What the mat consists of is plastic bags that have been cut into strips and made into what is called plarn, which is plastic yarn, and I'm going to show you that process. I'm going to show you the end product, The end product will be something rolled up like this that is a sleeping mat, which I will unroll at the end of the tape and show you just how they can use it. It comes with a carrying strap so they can throw it over their shoulder and walk around. It's very lightweight. When we get plastic bags from people, they generally look like this. And what needs to be done is we need to flatten these as much as possible. So I have found if I kind of take the bag, straighten out the handle on each side, flatten the bag out, fold it in half. After it's folded in half, you're going to want to remove this sealed end on the one on the bottom and the handle end that's up on the top. So we take our scissors and remove that. And remove the handle. Now you have something that just looks like this. We fold it in half. So now it's a strip like this. I find that about 3 inches is what we want to cut the strips in. So a Post-it note like this is 3 inches. So if you need a guide until you can just cut that without thinking about it, you can just sit that in front of your bag. It's not a perfect art. It's, this is utilitarian, so if it's a little over or under 3, it's not that big a deal. And you usually get about 4 out of a typical grocery bag. You'll get 4 strips. And this is what the strip looks like. When you open that up, you have a loop. Now once you get your loops made, you're going to attach them one to each other. So if you take one, pull it through like that, so you've got basically a T, bring the end up through and pull it, you've got a tight little knot. And so again, you've got your loop. And you want to have a T. Pull it through. And you always want to pull from the base of the prior loop. And sometimes it doesn't cooperate like you want it to. You just have to finesse it a little bit. Come on. It usually goes more smoothly than this. There, and then you just pull it on down. But by pulling from here, you'll keep this straight. If you pull it from here, you're going to end up a little wonky. It's not going to be straight. And when it comes to crocheting it, we need all the strips to be completely straight. So that's kind of that process. Another way you can do this is if you have a cutting mat and a rotary cutter, you can do several bags at a time, which really hastens the progress. So I just line those up. Cut off the ends. And this one, this handle's a little lower, is a little shorter than that one. I like to go ahead and just move it up so that we don't waste anything. And cut off that. Now with your cutting mat, it's nice because it's got grids on it, so you can just figure your 3 inches and just do your strips real quick. And you can do several in a row. This one's a little too big, so I'm just going to trim that tiny little edge. So now we have all of those loops. Now what I do with the loops, where's my loop bag? This bag is full of loops. This is about 150 bags cut into loops. So I like to just keep cutting loops and fill a bag until we go to the next step. Then that would be taking this bag and start doing your loops from that bag. So then you have your loops. I'm going to do a couple more loops, and then I'm going to show you how we crochet the pieces together. And just keep in mind what you're doing is you're really helping people that are less fortunate. They may be sleeping on a cold, wet ground, and this is going to give them some insulation from the ground. It also doesn't matter if it gets wet because it'll dry out. It's just plastic. And it also, I've been told, will eliminate the problem of bed bugs or lice. They won't live on the plastic. So that's a good thing too. So it keeps them a little more protected in that way. Once in a while you'll get a large bag. Say someone's gone to Walmart or one of the discount stores and they'll have a much larger bag. You can still use it, just do the same process and you'll get more strips from it. And it's really fun when we get the colorful bags. Several of the little stores, I think some of the Dollar Generals and other stores will have yellow or blue or fun colors, and they just kind of work into the mat and give a little colorful spot here and there. There's another one that didn't want to go. Okay, what I'm going to do is we use a very large crochet hook. This is a size Q. I think that's 18 millimeters if I remember right. So to start the crocheting, we've already got a loop here, so you can just do like a little slip knot. Whoops, it didn't go. Let me get it over here to my left. Okay, this is going to be the beginning of my chain for you crocheters. And you want to keep your crocheting very loose, because if you get it tight, then it gets a little more difficult to use. This hook is really good because not only does it have the point here, but it's got a point on the head of it, which is nice when you're working with the plastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a chain. You want to make a chain about 30 inches or so long, and that really depends on how tight or how loose you crochet. But again, the key, you should be able to move this hook back and forth, keeping it loose so that it's a more smooth operation. So you're going to have a chain that starts looking like that. I started one that's got a few more on it. It's about to the end, so I'm going to pull it over here. So now I've got, this one's about, that's close to 30 inches. Let's put a couple more in it. And it's important when you do the crocheting to count your stitches so that you're not going to end up with something that goes in like this on one side and gets all lopsided. So if you don't count them every row, count them every 2 or 3 rows and just be sure you're keeping it even. So now we're going to just begin the single crocheting. So I'm going to go into this chain, and again, just try to keep it loose. It's just one of those things you just get the feel for it. And with any crocheting, always the first row is always the tricky one, getting it going smoothly. Sometimes that was going over the little knot, so it was just giving me a little bit of pull there. And you would just continue doing this all across the row till you get to the end. When you get to the end of the row, you do a chain 1 and then turn your piece. And the reason you do the chain 1 is that keeps you going up. And then you will just crochet back and forth. I'm going to show you a larger piece so you'll see how it develops. This is actually a sleeping bag that's in process right now. This is the one I'm working on. So I'm at the end of this. I finished at the end of this row. That was my last single crochet. I'm going to do a chain 1. I actually have these loops rolled into something called Plarn. It's a roll. I think I've found a way that we can eliminate this step, but if you want to roll it into a large ball, this is what you would have to work from. And now we're just going to go straight across the row. Can you see what I'm doing okay? Let me pull this down in my lap. It might work a little better for you. And again, just keeping it loose, it really is important, because if you get it tight, you're going to be fighting every stitch that you do. Every once in a while, I seem to get a little tighter stitch, and I get upset with myself for doing that because it doesn't flow as well. And you'll have all kinds of different bags. This one had a little blue in it, so that little bit of blue will show up. So you can see I'm just going across the row here. I generally just find when my husband and I are watching TV at night, this is just something I can do and be kind of mindless with while we're having our time together with the television. It's wonderful if you have help with the cutting and the loop making, because it takes about 500 or so bags to make one mat. And I logged my time trying to figure out on the last one I made, and I probably had about 30 hours in it, but that's because I had to do everything by myself. So if you have a friend or a child or a husband who will do the folding of the bags, and you can do the crocheting, or you can do the folding of the bags for a friend and get them ready, and they can make the mat. And then everybody plays a part in it. Be a nice little family project with the kids. They can help gather bags from your friends and neighbors and kind of sort them out for you and help get them all straightened out. The mats that I've made so far strictly were from people, some friends from the church and from some other friends and family members who supply me with bags, and it really hasn't been difficult to do. Everybody wants to get rid of the bags. It just keeps them from having to take them to the recycle bin. They can give them to me instead. I'll just finish this row. And again, just keep in mind, we're not going for perfection. It's utility. From what I was told, all of this started with a group of women in Australia, in a local church there, that they somehow came up with the idea of doing this, and it's grown phenomenally all over the country. I've seen from many, many different states. I've seen YouTubes, I've seen stories written about them, and apparently it's unfortunate that there's a need for this, but if we can help, it will certainly be appreciated. Okay, I'm almost at the end of this row, and really the only thing you have to remember is at the end of the row, you're going to do that one chain. Here I am at the end of the row. Oh, I've got a pretty yellow bag. I'm going to do one chain, and then you just turn your project. And then I'll start down and do across this row. After you've crocheted the mat, you're going to go all around the edges and finish off them with just a single crochet. What that does, it strengthens the edges of the bag and just makes everything a little more compact. Following doing that, you're going to make a long chain. Let me see how long this one is. So 22, 44. Probably about 64 inches or so long. So you make a long chain, and then you're going to single crochet down the chain on one side of that initial chain, and then down the other side of that chain. And that way you've got a nice firm piece for a strap. And then I just joined the edges, and I just did them very securely. It's not real pretty, but it holds it all together, so it'll be secure and strong. That way you've got this loop that can be pulled around the mat. It's very simple. Pull through and put over a shoulder. I'll open up this mat so you can see the finish. This one's actually a little longer than 6 feet. I don't know why I didn't stop sooner. This is about 6 feet 6 inches, so maybe a tall person will get it. But this would be a finished mat. And that's all there is to it.